How was the build-up differed from UFC 70 when maybe things weren't as mainstream, but we were coming off the back of Ultimate Fighter 3, Marco Bisping? Has the the build-up in the media been a lot different this time around? With regards to the promotion of it.
Well, at UFC 70 it was our first event when we launched this initiative, and it was the first event that the UK office was managing, and so I don't have a lot of real good perspective back then because literally you're reacting moment to moment. However, the recollection I have about 70 was that we were always struggling to get the coverage and positive coverage, not the coverage that had the old human cockfighting phrase in it. And while we dodged the bullet a little bit, we were still dealing with the British Medical Association, the BMA. We were still dealing with a lot of ignorance about the sport. So I think the big difference between then and now, at least when it comes to media and understanding, is we're not confronted with those questions anymore. I think people now understand that this is a legitimate sport that deserves its recognition and placement in the sports culture of the UK.
Do you find that people are questioning, is it UFC or boxing? Do you feel you've got one or the other, or do you feel the fans are crossing over now in the media as well?
When I was in the States working in television, you didn't see a big crossover between MMA and boxing. Boxing was always an older demographic, MMA was very young. I think here, however, when you look at the demographics of boxing, while it's still very old, there isn't a young element to it. So, while we haven't done any real studies, although we have done some, field work, as it were, there seems to be a crossover here, and I don't think it's one or the other. I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can be a fan of both. I think they can be both successful. I mean, look, you have David Haye just won a championship here. I think it's good for the sport. It's good for combat sports. If people are talking about it, are interested in it, Dave, we're big fans of David. David's a big fan of the UFC. I think there's going to be a halo effect that comes on all combat sports, and being the biggest brand of mixed martial arts out there, the UFC, that I'm bullish on the future, not only because of the success we've had with 105, but just knowing the appetite that the UK fans have for combat sport.
Every event that comes over is successful, sells out, you get thousands of people. The shows do pretty well, and you've got a good distribution deal with ESPN as well. What are the plans with regards to the amount of shows in the UK coming up? Next year, how many would you be planning to hold in the UK?
Well, our hope is always to get 2 to 4. With 4 being, I think we were able to get 4 in a calendar year over the last year. We're already planning first quarter of 2010. We are holding dates in every venue across the country. I'm not confident that we'll get an event in the UK in the first part of 2010, but we'll get at least 2 events in, and hopefully we'll find a way to get 3 or 4 in.
Do you think is the problem with hopefully getting 3 to 4 in, or maybe getting 2, the problem's not with the fans wanting it, is the problem lying elsewhere?
Yeah, the problem doesn't lie from desire and appetite here, because we know we could deliver 4 events and be successful with all of them. It's the pressures of trying to grow this sport and invest in it internationally. So if we have made a commitment in our mind to do 6 international events, let's say for a year, you have to roll into that Canada. You have to roll in Germany, which we've now launched in. You have to put in the UK. Our desire to be in Ireland. Our desire to now we're going to be in Australia in February. We're talking about the Middle East. You just run out of dates, and so you end up having to make hard decisions about where to bring your next events. And I think what's taught us about this event with 105 is that staying away isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, the appetite and desire here is great, and I think it would have been great even a year ago. We would have been here sooner, but for the fact that the venue's in high demand, and it's very difficult to get dates that work for us.
We talked to Reed Harris, and he's talking about bringing the WEC over here. Can you shed any light on that? Has anything else come to fruition?
Well, we've talked about it. We are right now trying to get a WEC deal done for TV. I think that has to come first when Reed and I talk about it. We will hopefully get a TV deal done here within the next 3 months. And once that's done, we'll get Ireland. We're hopefully launching soon with WEC in Ireland. I think once we start getting that understanding and awareness, we'll support the WEC. We're a Zuffa entity, and WEC provides some interesting opportunities here because the smaller venues that we can't bring the UFC in, but we can go into Scotland, we can go into Wales with the WEC and put them in some really nice venues.
Medium-sized arenas as opposed to the really big ones.
Exactly.
Yeah. Obviously, we're a UK-based MMA magazine. Do you like to keep your ear to the ground with regards to the top fighters on the UK scene? Is anybody that's catching your eye?
Well, you know, I do my best. It's very difficult, you know. I leave that really to Joe and Dana. So as requests come to me, you know, I kind of push those off, you know. There are some fighters that I'm aware of. I don't really want to mention any names to create any pressure.
Okay.
But, you know, they're the guys out there that you've seen on the same forums and chats that I have that are out there that we talk to all the time that, you know, there isn't a whole lot of room for fighters in the UFC. We've got a lot of fighters, and that's a struggle. And so whether some of these fighters, you know, we talk to for the WEC, you know, are possibilities as well. But there are some really good fighters that deserve to be in the UFC and the WEC. It's just a matter of shelf space. We've thought about trying to run fight nights here, you know, with very European, UK-centric fighters. That will depend on our TV partners here. So we're in discussions with ESPN to see if that can become a reality, to run some of those, again, 3,000 to 6,000 seat arenas, come in with the UFC, produce them the way we always do, and deliver, you know, more regular live fights on potentially a smaller scale, just to keep sure that we're feeding the appetite of the fan here.